Hi Flosstube, Stephanie here, Ms. Oh So Crafty. Today is Friday, June 16th. How is everyone doing? It's Friday! So today I have some whips to share. I have got a couple finishes. I've got FFOs. I've got some new stash, and I guess I'll do the 20 interesting facts about you tag. All right, let's get started. So I'll give you a quick life update first. So today is my son's last day of preschool. I mean, he'll be going next year and the year after that, but it's the end of this year. So he'll be on summer break until September, and I'm excited about that. At the same time, I'm kind of like, well, it's nice to have these couple hours in the morning to myself. So that's going to be ending for the foreseeable future. But we have some fun stuff lined up for summer, so it'll be cool. All right, so in terms of like stitching, my rotation is just like kind of out the window. I've been working on stuff 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever. Just meeting more progress goals than time goals and just doing a bunch of different things. So I've got a lot to show you, and let's get started. So right after the last video, I picked up something that I finished, so I'll just show you what that is. This is Serafina by Mill Hill, Angel Orney, and I finished her in like, I guess it was 2 days in this month, so she took 5 days total, and she is a Mill Hill kit stitched on perforated paper with lots of beads and Kreinik in the bugle. The bugle is my favorite part, of course. So I used a little ribbon for the hanger, and I backed her with sparkly stiff felt. I still have to initial and sign. So this time what I did is I just glued her to the felt with hot glue, and then I trimmed around both layers, which was certainly quicker than trimming, gluing, trimming again. It did require you to exert more force on the scissors though. So while I was doing that, I decided I may as well finish this one too. Fully finish this one. That one is Angelina. I stitched her last year, and I never fully finished her until recently. So same treatment, sparkly stiff felt, white ribbon hanger. She took a bit longer to stitch, more like 7 days, I think. And she's got a pretty loot with the Kreinik strings on there. Lots of beading, of course. This is Mill Hill. These two are really cute together. There's a third one that I stitched 2 years ago, Gabriella. Unfortunately, she's packed away with my Christmas decorations, and I'm not willing to go digging through all that stuff at the moment. So, but if you want to go check out my blog, there's a picture of her there, along with the finish entry for this one, Serafina. So it's nice to have 3 of them done. And oops, that's the back. They're kind of big as ornaments. They're like 5 inches tall, but they do look really beautiful on the tree, so it's cool. After that, I decided to work on my Fall Fairy by Dimensions Gold. So I gave this like 4 days, and basically what I had done prior was like her torso and everything. So what I did is I worked a lot on the background. I dig it up to the corner over here. That's the corner of the piece. This is the midline here. A lot of that is half cross. Sorry for all the wrinkles. I did a hand wash on this after my rotation, hoping to soften it up a bit. It's stitched on 16 count light blue Aida. I don't know if it really worked. We'll see when I stitch on it again. Still feels kind of stiff and plasticky, so definitely not the nicest Aida cloth that I've ever used. So I do want to work on her more this month, like another 3 days, so she'll have 7 days total. I'm not feeling great about the prospect of finishing her though this year, because I mean, I worked on her 4 days and I didn't make that much progress. Like, there's still a long way to go to finish the first page, and this has 4 pages on it. So, and they're bigger than like Heaven and Earth design pages. So, yeah, long way to go, but I do really like how it's coming out. Very pretty colors. A lot of color changes. The reason why I decided to cut my rotation short on that was it got to be the white, red, green color weekend in my group. So I decided to pick up Cookies for Santa. This is stitched, the pattern by Sue Hill is stitched on 28 count white Monaco. So what I did is, well, I had stitched up to there, sugar, shortbread. So I did all this. Thank you, dear Santa, and the candy cane, the gingerbread man, and this little star cookie, and all the pine needles and boughs. And I filled in up here. There was like a blended floss, and I did more of these pine needles over here. So I messed up a little bit on the cutting of this fabric, but I have just enough. There's only a little bit left. It just says 4 Christmas Joys at the bottom, and there's like a heart or something and a tree. So it'll fit, just barely. This is a really fun project. I worked on it 2 days, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it in July and finishing it then. So the next thing I want to show you is something I actually worked on in May after Mania. I forgot to show it last time. This is Winnie the Pooh 2 by MCG Textiles. I'm working on, I think, the 5th column over here. This is stitched on 28 count Monaco by Charles Craft in the ivory or off-white or whatever, ecru colorway. And so I'm using the chart from the kit, I am using a DMC conversion, and I am using my own fabric for it. So, there it is. A little bit of a blending filament in there. I think what that is, I think it's just like a ray of sunlight or something. And this bit up here that's not stitched, all that's meant to be done over one, and I think what it is a swarm of bees. So it's hard to say. I mean, from the picture's kind of blurry, so we'll see when I stitch it what it comes out looking like. So I worked on those 2.5 days in May after Mania, and I did like, I don't know, 600 stitches or something on it. This is coming along. I shouldn't have any problem getting to like the 25% mark this year, and hopefully be able to finish it next year. Next year it'll be more of a focus piece. This year I'm just working on it a couple days per month. Alright, moving back to the current month, June. So I decided to take out my Snowman and Friends stocking and work on it. I gave it 3 days. This is kind of a line and whip in that I need to finish it already. I started in 2014, so it's pretty old. As you can see, I'm getting there. This is the top of the stocking. The name will be right here. And I just have a little bit more of the background to fill in, and of course the name and stuff. So, and then there's a bit more of the background on top of the name as well. And then there's back stitching. Fair amount of back stitching, but not too bad, I don't think. So this is also going to be a goal for finishing next month. This is stitched on 18 count white Aida. And I started it for my son after he was born in 2014, and I got around halfway done and I was like, darn, this is taking a long time. So I did a felt applique stocking for him instead, and that one came out really cute. Maybe I'll insert a picture of it here. So he really loves that one, and I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this, because it'd be nice to have a cross stitch one for him. But he's only been using the Felt Applique one a couple years. Maybe I'll just keep this until he's a bit older and sew it up and do a stocking then. Alright, now I have another finish to share. This is my Mill Hill Christmas Village. I actually worked on it after Mania in May. I forgot to show it last time. And then I worked on it a couple days this month and managed to finish it off. So it's the toy shop that I worked on and finished. It took me 7 days total, I think, to stitch that. Most of the time was spent beading. Lots of beads in there. Let's see. There are white beads, red beads, green beads, blue beads, copper beads, silver beads, or off-white champagne beads, or whatever they want to call them. So the only modification I made is that, as charted, the toy shop is done in red beads. I did it that way, and it looked crowded and muddy, because the red beads are, regular old seed beads. So I decided to frog it and redo it with the blue beads, which are petite, and I like it better with the blue beads anyway, because it's just, there's a lot of red already in this piece, and I feel like the blue provides some balance, and blue is my son's favorite color, so yeah, it's cool. And I did more of the snowflakes on the border, over to there, around. There's 2 pieces now done. There's Toy Shop and there's Tree Farm. There's going to be 4 across, so like that. And there's going to be 3 rows of 4, so 12 total. The next piece is going to be the bookseller, and I will put that next door to the toy shop. I've already done a little bit of gridding to help me in the placement of it. So I'm stitching these, I'm giving them 2 stitches in between. I'm stitching them on the same line, horizontal line. So it's coming along. I'm very pleased with it. Super sparkly. Oops. Love this fabric. It's 28 count Stormy Gray Jolene. Really nice. The border's done in Krynic number 4 braid, color 032. Just a little snowflake pattern I found online. And the kits come with perforated paper, so obviously I swapped that out to stitch it on fabric. This is a lot of fun to work on. It's just so big, I have it on 30-inch scroll bars, and that's not terribly practical for my lap stand setup, so I think I'm going to break down and buy a floor stand pretty soon. Got my eye on a Lowry. That will come out to play again next month. I guess that's it for my stitching. I think what I'll do now is show you my dye experiment. So my friend, I had a stitching meetup at the library a couple weeks ago, and my friend invited me over to play with dyes. So thank you, Samira. It was so fun. She has a dyeing station set up. The first one I did was this one. We used a low immersion dye method. I watched Farm Girl's tutorial before I did this, and I went online and looked at the RIT color formula guide. So I did this with 2 colors, evening blue and teal. And the first dye mix was heavier in the teal. The second dye mix was heavier on the evening blue. It was like a light turquoise over dyed with a darker blue. And the color, it's so hard to film this or photograph it. It's not white at all, although it looks kind of white here, but it's all just like a pretty light turquoise. And modeled. I am planning, to stitch this on it. The Enchanted Mermaid. That would be fun. Yeah, so like I said, this was 28 count white Monaco by Charles Craft to start out with. So, and then I did another piece as well. This is 32 count linen in oyster. Well, it was by MCG Textiles. I dyed it with, well, royal blue, and I did like a lighter blue, then a darker blue. The second dye bath had 2 tablespoons of royal in a cup of water, so it was dark like ink. And frankly, I don't understand why the fabric didn't come out darker, since linen is supposed to dye dark. I wonder, is this really linen? Or perhaps a blend, I don't know. But it did come out, you know, nice. I was kind of frustrated by how light it looked after the 2 layers of blue. So my friend was using purple, and I was like, it was a dark purple too. So I was like, okay, I'll splash some purple in there too. So that's where the purple splotches come from. This one I'm considering using for the Shimmering Mermaid by Mirabilia. So when I was shopping for fabric to dye, I actually went to Joann Fabric and I looked for linen on the bolt, and I found this. This is like, well, it's 36 count. It's a really nice linen, not too slubby. I have to say, most of the stuff I found on the bolt did not look like anything I'd want to stitch with. It was just too slubby and, you know. But this one is nice. In fact, I decided it was too nice to dump into the dye bath. I think I'm just going to use this for something. Probably an Alessandra Adelaide pattern. Magic reindeer, or magical reindeer, or something like that. So I might bleach this a little bit to make it lighter, or I may use it as is. I don't know. But it was like, well, it was $20 a yard, but it was on sale for 40% off or something, or 30% off or something. It was like $14 a yard, and I got half a yard for it, so it was $7 for quite a big piece of fabric, you know. This is like 2 fat quarters essentially for $7. So if you like stitching on 36 count, go look at Joann. This is, you know, 100% linen, you know, natural linen, according to the end of the bolt drop frame. Yeah, so most of the stuff they had on the bolt was blends I found, but this one is actually 100% linen, and it's a really nice fabric. It's soft, it has a nice hand to it. It feels kind of like a Zweigart. But the pricing thing is a mystery to me, because, you know, when you look at, you know, a cross-stitch store, it seems like a yard of linen fabric is like $80 or something. And this was, you know, $20 before the sale, so it's a mystery. And then I wanted to show you this pattern that I got. This was actually a Stitchy Kindness that someone sent to me. Thank you for that. I'm not sure if she watches my videos, but she may. It says, remember that nothing can be done well without order, promptitude, and perseverance, and anything that is worth doing well. This is something that is kind of my husband to a T. I want to stitch for him so he can hang it in his office at work. And this is by the National Trust from England. The National Trust is like a historical society, kind of. They maintain properties, and they do a great job of it, actually, in my opinion. When we were visiting over there a few years ago, we went to a ton of National Trust properties, and we had like a pass, and it was great. I mean, the places were just, you know, very educational, and a lot of them had great little cafes attached. Yeah, a lot of times, like when you travel around the states, you can go to national parks. The only thing you can find to eat is like McDonald's and like Wendy's if you're lucky. In England, that's not the case. You can find good food pretty much anywhere. Anyway, so this is really fun, and it looks like it'll be a fun stitch, and I'm looking forward to starting it. I might actually see if I can do it this year as like a Christmas present for him. Alright, I guess that's about it for the stash. I did order something from Dreamlet Needlecraft Corner, but it hasn't arrived yet, so I guess I'll do the 20 things about you tag. So the first one is my eyes are two different colors, so see if I can get close and show you what I'm talking about. So this one is more green and this one is more blue. It's a kind of a subtle difference, but and the light in here isn't great, but they are indeed two different colors. And okay, number 2 is I did a triathlon. It was only a sprint triathlon, but it was a great experience and I loved it. I trained so hard for it. I worked out like 6 days a week for months on end, and I was in such great shape and I had a great time at the race. Although I wish I had like eaten more maybe before the race, because I felt really like depleted towards the end. Like I didn't have enough, caloric resources. But I managed to finish and it was cool. Number 3 is I visited 25 states and 10 countries. I love to travel, and I've traveled a bit around the United States, mostly the coastal states. And I went to Europe. I've been to Europe several times, and when I finished college, I went over there with a friend and backpacked around to a bunch of different countries, and that was a incredible experience. So glad I did that. It was, I guess, formative in a way, and I hope that one day my son will do something like that, or at least have the desire to do it. So it was a really amazing trip. We had like Eurail passes, and we had everything in a backpack, or well, 2 backpacks, one for him, one for me. We started out with like pretty heavy backpacks, and then as the trip progressed, we like continually like dumped stuff. So by the end, the backpacks weren't nearly as heavy, and at the beginning of the trip, I could barely like put the backpack on. I had to lift the backpack, put it on like a table, and then turn around and like work it onto my back. Towards the end, it was still pretty heavy, but I could just swing it on my back, no problem. I was in such good shape after a couple months of just walking every day and carrying that backpack, and it was great. We visited a bunch of different countries and had some really cool experiences, saw some amazing places, met some amazing people, ate some really good food. It was a really good trip. I almost didn't come home, though I did eventually. All right, number 4, my happy place is a waterfall. I love waterfalls, especially tropical waterfalls. I've been lucky enough to visit a few, like in Hawaii and Costa Rica, and to me, swimming in the bottom of a waterfall is just like the most perfect communion with nature. Love it so much. Whenever I have to like do something like unpleasant, like say blood draw or whatever, I just imagine myself, at the waterfalls and go there in my mind. It's my happy place. Number 5 is my best friend growing up and I shared a name, first name, and we weren't the only Stephanies in the class. There were a couple more. just in our grade. So when it came time to name our son, and my husband was in the same boat. His name is Christopher, and there were a lot of Christophers in his cohort. So when it came time to name our son, we looked for something that was not on the top 25 list. Number 6 is I spent my childhood doing gymnastics, and that was really great. I mean, it was just so much fun. It taught me to be really strong and fearless in a way, and it was cool. But it did, I guess, kind of lead to some darker things, and I'm going to get into that now. So number 7 is I spent my adolescence being anorexic, and that started when I was about 14 years old. I had quit gymnastics because I wanted to like go to high school and sort of have like a normal high school experience, and I started to gain weight because I wasn't working out every day, and also I hit puberty, because same reason, I'm not working out every day, and I didn't like it. So I started basically dieting, and it snowballed from there, and it went on for a while until I was about 19, and then I hit rock bottom. For me, that was like 94 pounds. To give you an idea, like right now I weigh about 160, so I was like half a person, kind of. And it was awful. It really was. And I'm glad that it's beyond me now. But that kind of thing, it leaves scars, and you never forget. So when I was 19, as I mentioned, hit rock bottom, and I decided that I couldn't live that way anymore, and I had to basically find my way back to the land of the living. So I really tried. It was basically like a behavioral modification thing. I was like, okay, I need to eat like X, Y, Z every day, and I need to, do some sort of like, fun activity, like yoga or like jogging, but not to, at a certain level, not like eat something and then like go running around the quad to work it off, But it was, it took time, and I did relapse and everything, but by the time I was like 21, 22, things were better, so I didn't relapse anymore after that point. Number 9 is I went to college, university, whatever you want to call it, on a full academic scholarship, and that was nice to be able to go to school without having to take out loans and everything. But it was a large, state university, and it wasn't my first choice, so. But it was good in a way because it was such like a different environment for me that I think that if I had gone to like my first choice school, it would have been sort of like an extension of high school in a way. I would have been with people who were like friends and stuff, and where I wound up, I was more alone in a way, and I had to like basically rely on myself and face reality in a way that I could have possibly put off longer if I had more people around who were, I don't want to say enabling, because they weren't necessarily enabling me, but they weren't necessarily helping either, I guess. So I'm not trying to like blame anybody for my illness. What I'm just trying to convey is that when you sometimes a change of scenery can really help, I guess is what I mean. All right, so number 10 is at school I studied biology and philosophy, so I thought I might want to go to med school, hence the biology thing. Then I decided not to do that, and then I decided to study philosophy because I took a philosophy class and I loved it. So number 11 is I had enough credits to graduate after 2.5 years. So 5 semesters, and I had started with quite a lot of credits because I started with AP credits. I started like a year up, and then I took like 18, 21 credits most semesters just because I wanted to like get prerequisites out of the way and get into more interesting classes and stuff like that. So also when you're taking science classes, the labs are like, 4 credits. So that sort of, your credit count fills up pretty quickly. I didn't want to graduate in 2.5 years though. I was like 20 years old and I wasn't ready to graduate, and I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? So that's why I decided to do the second major in philosophy. And then I also did a bunch of like dance classes, probably enough for a minor. And I did like a lot of extracurricular type stuff. I was on the judicial board when I was in school. That was great, although it was harrowing emotionally at times because we would see some serious stuff, like domestic things and rape and assault and that kind of thing. And yeah. Number 12 is my husband and I, we met in 2002, and we kind of like saw each other and we were instantly interested. But the timing was off, so nothing really happened at that point. But then 6 months later, we met again, and at that point, the timing was right, and we got together. We've been together ever since, and that was 15 years ago. Number 13 is I studied hypnobirthing when I was pregnant, and I had my baby without drugs. So I went into labor like a week early, and I wasn't expecting that because everyone says, first-time moms will go over whatever. So I started going to labor, and I was timing my contractions, and I called the doc on call, and she heard me like breathing through a contraction over the phone, and she was like, "You need to come in." So I went in, and I was not progressed very far when I got there. So they were like, "Okay, you can just like labor," and I had my ball and my hypnobirthing affirmations and everything, and I labored, and it was okay. I was calm, and it was cool. And after some time went past, I was like, I want to go home, because I didn't think that I was like progressing, and I thought it was a false alarm, and I wanted to go home. So they were like, "Okay, let's check you." So they checked me, and they were like, "You're fully dilated. It's go time." They didn't think that I was progressing either, because I wasn't like, showing like a lot of distress or whatever. But the hypnobirthing thing really helped a lot, just like in handling that. But then transition hit, and I can tell you that hypnobirthing did not help with that part, not too much. So number 14 is my water never broke. So, like I said, I went into labor early, the water didn't break, and, I went to the hospital, so it didn't break, and I was actually in the pushing phase, and I felt the water sac. At that point, I let them break it just to, like, hurry things along, so. Number 15 is I love to bake, and I've been baking since I was a kid, like cakes, cookies, and bread and everything. I do everything from scratch. I don't, and I will use like, butter, eggs. My opinion about it is if you're going to eat dessert, just eat dessert, Don't necessarily eat it every day, but like I would rather have like, one slice of a wonderful like butter-filled, sugar-filled cake than like 5 slices of, something made with like, I don't know. non-fat, non-sugar, whatever. I don't like any of those like fake sugar types of things. The stuff they put in diet soda, that stuff just, I think it's nasty. So, and I like to make, I'll make bread from scratch too. I don't do it all the time, but I've made like French bread. There's a really good book called Artisan Bread in 5 Minutes a Day. So check that out if you're so inclined. Basically, you just make like a starter and everything, and then you can work with that. And it really does allow you to make things that approximate like bakery bread. So that's cool. It does require some fridge space though. And I love to make pie. Always make pie from scratch. I like a butter crust. Actually, I like mixed butter and shortening for the crust because the butter gives it more flavor and the shortening gives it a little flakiness. So that's kind of like my go-to. I don't make pie a whole lot, but I always make a pie for like the holidays, and sometimes I'll make a summer pie as well. Let's see. Moving on to number 16 is I love to like eat local. I like to do pick your own produce at the farm, shop at the farmer's market, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't say I love to cook. I mean, I love to bake, but cooking is kind of like, a means to an end, I guess. I enjoy it. I don't like hate it or anything, but it's not like necessarily as fun as baking is. But I do enjoy, making good food and again from scratch. I don't work a whole lot with things from boxes or cans or whatever. So I like my veggies crisp, tender. Hubby says I'm a food snob, so you can perhaps you agree. I don't know. I mean, I will eat kind of like anything. I just want it to be good and fresh, But I'm not terribly picky about food. The only thing I don't really like is I don't like eggs. So I'll eat eggs like in something, like in baked goods, no problem. Even an omelet. But I don't like straight up eggs. I'll eat them if I have to, like as an example for my son or whatever. But it's not my favorite thing. And I don't like ham. I think ham is too salty. But I certainly do eat like bacon and pork chop and stuff like that. So at one point in my life, I was vegan and vegetarian. I had worked in a medical research lab, where we used lambs, and the day after I started working there, I went to like have my morning glass of milk, and I couldn't take. It started to come back up. So I figured going vegan was probably the way to go. So I was vegan for a couple years, and then vegetarian for a few more years, and then I decided to go back to the omnivore thing. But I still don't eat like a whole lot of meat. I try to eat more veg than meat, so meat's like a special treat, Let's see. Number 17 is I love to hike and explore the wilderness. I mentioned the waterfall thing, so hiking to a waterfall is my idea of a perfect day. But I also like to hike in urban environments and sort of like explore cities, especially foreign cities. So when I visit a city, I want to like get out there and walk and like really experience it, I don't want to take a bus tour. I don't want to like drive around. I want to walk, and you just get the feel for a place that way, and you get to see so many more interesting things, and you can sort of like stop and check things out. And yeah, I love to walk around cities. Number 18 is I've only lost my temper once in my life. And when people say they see red, well, that's like a real thing. That actually happened. I did see red that one time. I guess maybe you wouldn't know what happened. So, well, I was in Prague, and I was with a friend, a guy friend, and we went to this concert. It was like a electronica concert headlined by the Chemical Brothers out in the I don't know, countryside or whatever. So to get there, we took the metro or subway train out to like suburbs and then took a bus to this like field. So there was the concert. It was fun. We went our separate ways and like did our thing, and then like around like midnight or so, I found my friend and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back. And you want to head back? And he was hanging out with this girl who was like young, like high school maybe. And we were, I mean, we were just 22, but still, you know. And he was like, no, I want to hang out with this girl. And I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, we weren't, this guy and I, we were just friends. There was no sort of like romantic anything between us. We were just friends. So I was like, okay, fine, you know, hang out with her. I'm going to go back. And I did go back. So I went to catch the bus. And the bus took us to a different station, like not the station we'd come out of. So I basically like figured out which way was the you know, to the city. Now I did not speak Czech, and even reading the signage was like kind of iffy. It's not an easy language for like an English speaker. It's not like, you know, visiting France or Italy where you can like kind of read the words. You know, it's a whole different ball game, the language. And anyway, so I got on the train, and the train went back to the city, but it was a different end of the city that I had left from earlier. So I found my way like back to the hotel, which was, I mean, near city center. So it wasn't that bad, although, you know, basically I had to walk through the city in the middle of the night and everything. So I get back there, and I go up to the room, and what do I see but my friend? He was there in bed with that girl who was like 16 years old or something. I was so steamed. Oh my gosh. I mean, if he was ready to like leave the concert, why didn't he just say so? Like when I wanted to leave, you know, like, and then to like bring this girl there, it was just like I was so upset. I literally like I saw red. Just I started screaming at him, and like I grabbed my stuff and I left. I went to the train station, and I just went on my way, you know. And I traveled like on my own for a bit, and we did eventually meet up again, like a week later or something. But it was, I guess that was kind of a turning point in our friendship or whatever. I mean, it's not that I begrudged him, like, you know, hooking up with that girl or whatever, but just the whole thing with him being like, oh, no, you're on your own, and then, like, him going back to the city with her, and then, like, bringing her back to our room. I feel like, you know, she was way too young for him, and it was just, the whole thing was just unsavory. Okay, number 19. Let's see. I tried surfing once. It was hard. This was in Costa Rica in the Pacific Ocean, and surfing is like you're laying on the board on your belly, and it's paddle, 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 and then you see the wave, and you have to go from like lying down on the board to like standing up and balancing on the board in like a split second. I did manage to get up a few times, and it was fun, although I have a massive respect for surfers, and I don't think it's ever something I could be very good at. Number 20 is one time I jumped off a cliff into the ocean. It wasn't a super tall cliff, but it was tall enough that when I jumped off, it was like, okay, where's the water? It took a few seconds longer than I expected to hit the water. And when I did hit the water, I went down with so much force. You know, I immediately, as soon as I was underwater, I like spread out my arms and legs to try to slow my descent, but I still went down so far that my ears popped. And then I came up, and, you know, the waves are coming in and everything. That was a rush. Glad I did that. It was quite an experience. I'm kind of like a thrill seeker, I guess, in a way. But it was a great day, and I probably would do that again. Jump off a cliff into the ocean if given the opportunity in the right sort of place. Okay, I guess that's it for my 20 facts. I hope it wasn't too boring or whatever. I guess I do have one more thing to share, and that is my knitting, the top that I'm wearing. So let me go to my blog and look at the stats and move the camera. Okay, this little cardi top is called Marigold, and the pattern is by Amy Polson. It was from Interweave Knits Summer 2010. I knit it in Elan Bella, which is 37% wool, 37% cotton, and 26% viscose. Took about 800 yards. The gauge was 5.5 stitches in the lace stitch. I'll get a little closer, you can see the detail. And 6 on US 6s, and then I did US 4s for the ribbing. I knit the 34-inch bust size. It took 5 weeks to knit in rotation with other projects. So I made a few mods. I added a stitch on each side of the each piece so that I'd have a selvage stitch to use for the seaming and to pick up stitches. And what else? I kind of did my own thing with the button band, just picking up on a ratio with the stitches, rows to stitches, And I did a line of the slip stitch crochet on the button band and just to even it up a little bit. What else? So the yarn is like a thin sport weight, and the fiber composition, cotton and wool, is very practical for where I live in the Mid-Atlantic, the United States. And the fabric it creates is sort of soft, light, and drapey. And the color is like a peach color. I mean, it's kind of like as close as orange to that I'm willing to wear. Orange is not really my color, but I do like this one, the peach. The yarn is limited edition, and what I dig about this is the kind of the vintage style and the puffy sleeves. See that? There, little subtle puff. And the whole vintage style. And this yarn actually wears really well. I mean, as I mentioned, I knit it back in 2010, so here we are 7 years later, and it still looks really good, no pilling or anything. Aside from that, I haven't worked anymore on my Shakespeare in Love pattern. It's just, it's summer, and I just don't feel like knitting a wool sweater, but maybe I'll get back to it in July. All right, that's it for me. I guess I'll mention my plans a little bit. So, got 2 weeks left in June. What I'm planning to do is I'm going to work on Winnie the Pooh for a few days. I'm going to start another Christmas orny, give that 2 days, and I'm going to work like a week, I think, on the Maiden and the Unicorn. I started working on it yesterday, and I just backstitched basically, but I made some good progress with backstitching, and I am looking forward to working on it more and sharing it with you next time. I also want to work more on Fall Fairy because I only gave her 4 days earlier this month, and I wanted to give her 7 total. So I'll see if I can fit in 3 more days. And I think that leaves me a couple days bonus at the end, free days. So I think what I'm going to do with that time is I may work on another project, another stitching project, or I might just concentrate on my framing. I have another project I want to frame, a Halloween project, and I am planning to film myself doing it and create a tutorial for my channel. So that would be nice, and I will see you guys at the end of the month. All right, take care. Happy stitching, everybody. Be well, be happy, and I'll see you soon. Bye.